Welcome back to RedNews Africa. I'm bringing you your weekly dose of African news, the stories that shaped our continent this week, from military coups to diplomatic standoffs, from football glory to political crises. Africa never stops making headlines. Let's dive in. Madagascar just witnessed its second coup in 2 decades. On October 17th, Colonel Michael Randrianirina of the elite CUPSAT unit was sworn in as president. After weeks of massive Gen Z-led protests, the demonstrations erupted over water and electricity shortages, rampant corruption, and failed governance. President Rajoelina, who himself took power in a 2009 coup, fled the country after Parliament impeached him on October 14th. This isn't just about Madagascar. We're witnessing a global wave of Gen Z movements challenging governments, from Kenya to Bangladesh, Nepal to Sri Lanka. Young people are saying, enough is enough. Kenya lost a political titan. Raila Odinga, the country's former prime minister and legendary opposition leader, died at age 80 on October 15th after suffering cardiac arrest during a morning walk in India. President William Ruto declared 7 days of national mourning, calling him the father of our democracy. Raila Odinga didn't just participate in Kenyan politics, he shaped it. A legacy that includes pushing Kenya toward multi-party democracy in 1991 and the 2010 constitutional reforms. His death leaves a massive vacuum in Kenya's opposition, with elections just 2 years away in 2027. The political stability of East Africa's economic powerhouse just got a lot more uncertain. In Doha on October 14th, the DRC government and the Rwanda-backed M23 rebels signed a breakthrough agreement to establish a ceasefire monitoring mechanism. Qatar, the United States, and the African Union will serve as observers. This builds on the Doha Declaration of Principles, signed back in July. The M23 rebels currently control massive territories in North and South Kivu provinces, including the major cities of Goma and Bukavu, where they've set up their own parallel government. This 4-year rebellion has killed thousands and displaced millions in one of the world's most mineral-rich regions. Yes, this is a major diplomatic win for Qatar and the US. But let's be real, implementation is the hard part. Rwanda's backing of M23 and the complex territorial disputes make this ceasefire fragile. Still, it's the most promising step toward peace we've seen in years. Mali just hit back at US visa policy hard. The government announced that American citizens will now need to post bonds of up to $10,000 for business and tourist visas. Why? Because the Trump administration imposed the exact same requirement on Malian citizens first. Mali's foreign ministry said they're simply establishing an identical visa program in response. This is pure diplomatic chess. Despite the US visiting Mali in July to discuss counterterrorism and access to Mali's gold and lithium reserves, Mali isn't backing down. This tit-for-tat response shows how African nations, even military-ruled states, are now willing to challenge Western policies they see as discriminatory. With China and Russia offering alternative partnerships, Africa's bargaining power is growing. The days of one-sided policy, dictates from the West, are fading fast. Botswana just enforced a game-changing regulation. Any new mining concessions must sell a 24% stake to local investors if the state doesn't buy it first. The rule took effect in early October. Botswana is Africa's diamond king, and this move signals a continent-wide trend: resource nationalism. African countries are done watching their minerals leave while seeing minimal benefits at home. This policy directly affects global commodity markets and puts pressure on neighboring mineral producers to follow suit. For decades, Africa has been rich in resources, but poor in wealth retention. Botswana is changing that equation, and the world is watching. On October 17th, Senegal's President Bassirou Diomaye Faye received a long-awaited report on the 1944 Thiaroye massacre, where French forces killed dozens, possibly hundreds, of African soldiers. These men had fought for France in World War II and were simply protesting delayed pay. French records claim 35 deaths. Historians estimate up to 400. This is about more than numbers. It's about truth and justice. Senegal accuses France of withholding archival documents that would reveal the full horror of what happened. This report is part of Africa's broader reckoning with colonial history, especially as France's influence in West Africa crumbles. Military juntas in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger have already expelled French forces. Senegal's new leadership is now asserting sovereignty over its own historical narrative. The past is finally being confronted. History has been made. For the first time ever, 9 African nations have qualified directly for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. The expanded 48-team tournament means Africa gets unprecedented representation. The qualifiers are Morocco, Tunisia, Egypt, Algeria, Ghana, Senegal, Côte d'Ivoire, South Africa, and, making their debut, Cape Verde. Football is Africa's universal language, and this is our moment on the world stage. Morocco's early qualification set the tone. Cape Verde's historic first appearance is pure inspiration. These qualifications come at a time of political turmoil across the continent. They give us moments of unity, pride, and joy. Football is also soft power. When African teams excel globally, the world pays attention. Next year, in the US, Canada, and Mexico, Africa will show up stronger than ever before. Côte d'Ivoire is on edge. On October 11th, security forces arrested 237 people and fired tear gas at banned protests in Abidjan. The demonstrations erupted after the 2 main opposition parties were barred from the October 25th presidential election. Their leaders, Laurent Gbagbo and Tidjane Thiam, can't run. Meanwhile, 83-year-old President Alassane Ouattara launched his campaign for a 4th term. Over the past week, around 700 people have been arrested, and 26 protesters were sentenced to 3 years in prison. This is West Africa's second biggest economy, and its stability matters for the entire region. But Côte d'Ivoire has a dark history with election violence. 3,000 people died in the 2011 civil war, and 85 were killed in 2020's post-election chaos. The government's 2-month ban on political rallies just a week before voting screams repression, not democracy. Regional peace hangs in the balance. The world needs to be watching closely. Burkina Faso just rejected a Trump administration proposal and did it with style. On October 10th, Foreign Minister Karamoko Jean-Marie Traoré called the US request to accept non-Burkinabe deportees indecent and totally contrary to the value of dignity. Hours later, the US Embassy suspended most visa services for Burkina Faso residents. Traoré fired back, calling it a pressure tactic and declaring Burkina Faso is a land of dignity, not deportation. Since July, over 40 deportees have been sent to Africa under secretive agreements the Trump administration made with at least 5 countries. Eswatini, South Sudan, Rwanda, Ghana, and Uganda. Human Rights Watch revealed the US offered financial incentives, $5.1 million to Eswatini, $7.5 million to Rwanda. Burkina Faso said no and framed it as a matter of national dignity. This is significant coming from a Sahel nation under military rule that's already expelled French forces and is now aligned with Russia. The message is clear: Africa won't be bullied anymore. Kenya just launched Phase 1 of Konza Technopolis, a smart city project dubbed Africa's Silicon Savannah. Located an hour from Nairobi, this tech hub is a cornerstone of Kenya's Vision 2030 development plan. This isn't just infrastructure, it's ambition made visible. Konza is designed to attract massive foreign investment, create thousands of high-skilled jobs, and accelerate East Africa's digital economy. Africa's tech scene is booming, and Kenya is positioning itself as the continent's innovation capital. From fintech to AI startups, the future is being built in Africa. Konza Technopolis is proof that African nations are investing in the industries of tomorrow, not just the resources of yesterday. And that's your weekly dose of African news, from coups to football glory, from diplomatic defiance to tech innovation. Africa continues to shape its own destiny. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me which story impacted you most. I'm RedNews Africa, and I'll see you next week with more stories the world needs to hear. Stay informed, stay proud, stay African.